So confirmation today of Red Bull's penalty, a $7 million fine and a 10% reduction in wind tunnel testing for the next 12 months. Now, that penalty is going to be the big talking point of the next couple of days. We haven't heard from rival teams yet about the severity of that, whether they think it was fair or not, but it's definitely going to be a talking point going forward. The fine has to be paid in the next 30 days. And the wind tunnel penalty, I mean, it doesn't sound like the biggest thing, but it is likely to be a very significant penalty for Red Bull. They've already got the least amount of wind tunnel time in 2023. On the back of winning the Constructors' Championship. So it's an extra 10% that they won't have next year, and it should significantly limit their ability to update the car. Now, one of the things that has been clear through this process is that a lot of rival teams have wanted a punishment that has directly pegged Red Bull's advantage back and has pulled back any advantage they may have gained from overspending in the regulations. You know, it was felt that if you strip Max Verstappen of his championship, only Mercedes really benefit from that. If you dock them points from this year's Constructors' Championship, then likely only Ferrari could benefit from that. So it was very, very difficult for the FIA to adopt anything like that. And the rules really, because this was the first iteration of them, there were lots of different options open to the FIA. A reduction in budget cap amount for next season was probably unlikely, given the fact that the only way really around that would have been through redundancies and stuff like that. So this is the penalty that's been arrived on, and we should hear from Red Bull later on Friday. They've been really keen for the last 2 or 3 weeks, ever since the FIA announced that they had overspent, to get their point of view across, to get their side of the story out and say, here's what we did, here's what we feel was wrong. I think there's going to be some spicy stuff in there from what I've heard behind the scenes. There's some things about a former Mercedes lawyer who now works for the FIA that they've been talking about quite a lot, and they feel that she's had quite a big role in all of this. And that's likely to come out. But we haven't heard from Zak Brown yet. You know, he's one person whose opinion will be really interesting from this. He obviously wrote that open letter to the other teams and to the FIA saying that any breach should be constituted as cheating. Christian Horner was furious at that, you know, and they had a very awkward press conference together in Austin. Toto Wolff, after being very outspoken that first week when this news kind of first emerged, has been really quite quiet on it. So it'll be interesting to see what he says, and Ferrari boss Mattia Binotto as well. I think that there's going to be some pretty interesting headlines over the next couple of days, because I'm not sure every team's going to be absolutely thrilled about that penalty. We'll see though, because the FIA, what was key in there, in the ABA that the Red Bull accepted from them, was the FIA said that there was no attempt to deceive or to act fraudulently from Red Bull. So they're content, I think, that this overspend wasn't intentional. But obviously other teams will look at that and say, well, we all had the same rules and we spent within it as well. So I think it's going to be a very, very big issue. And I think that the whole budget cap, you know, as we know it, is likely to be seriously looked at, you know, in terms of punishments, in terms of how quick the audit process takes, because we can't afford to be in a situation again in 12 months' time where potentially, you know, a team has won a championship or a team has won races and their budget cap spend from the previous year is suddenly, you know, under question. So a lot of things that are going to be talked about certainly in the next couple of weeks. So watch this space. You know, the budget cap saga might have a resolution in terms of the penalty, but as a controversy, it's far, far from over right now.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.